Before we get into what it means to be renewables ready, it's important to understand how Australia's energy system evolved and why we need to prepare for renewables in the first place. Nearly 70% of Australia's electricity comes from burning fossil fuels, with coal making up about half of that. Coal is a cheap, efficient and reliable source of power, and Australia has plenty of it. In fact, coal is one of our country's most valuable exports and economic drivers. However, carbon emissions from burning fossil fuels are driving climate change with devastating consequences for our land, wildlife and fragile ecosystems. Australia has the most coal-based emissions per capita in the world, and households account for a large chunk of these. Fortunately for us, we have some of the best renewable energy resources in the world. With the highest solar radiation of any country, Australia receives around 10,000 times more solar radiation than our total energy consumption. What's more, wind is predicted to become Australia's largest source of renewable energy, which will help to reduce our emissions even more. You might be wondering why, despite the abundance of renewable energy, most of our electricity still comes from fossil fuels. And why is electricity becoming more expensive when renewables are meant to be cheap? The short answer is that the way we generate electricity is changing, but the way we use it hasn't. And that's because no one has taught us how to use renewable energy when it's available. We expect renewables to act like fossil fuels and be available at the flick of a switch. And that's our biggest mistake. Unlike coal, which is available 24/7, renewable energy is only available during the day and when it's windy. This means in a renewables future, there might be times when there isn't enough energy to go around. To complicate things, our current energy system was not designed to handle renewable energy. So we need a lot of new and expensive infrastructure to get clean power into our homes. All these changes, all at once, are driving up energy costs. So how can we time our energy use to coincide with periods of abundant renewable energy production? And do we have to sit in the dark, huddled around candles and campfires at night? Not exactly, but a lot needs to change. Thankfully, there are smart ways to adjust when we use power, so we rely less on fossil fuels. It's time to forget everything you know about electricity and rediscover what it means to live with renewable energy. Transitioning to renewable energy is not just the flip of a switch. We must all gradually change the way we do things, but the benefits are compelling. Not only will we be fighting climate change, but we will also have the potential to establish new industries, create jobs, and become global leaders in the energy transition. In the next lesson, we'll talk about how using energy is a habit and how we can change our habits to save money and minimise emissions.